Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's the Story, Gemini? The podcast where I, Britt, ask Google Gemini about a topic and then read and react in real time. Apologies for any background noises. My dog decided he needed to come in here and take a place on the bed. He has to supervise me while I do this, just in case something bad happens. I was watching a YouTube content creator recently. Some more news. Shout out to Cody Shody. I love that show. So they were doing a segment, and probably like a 2-minute span, he mentioned the Lavender Scare. I never heard about the Lavender Scare before. I mean, it does sound really soft. I thought to myself, hey, Gemini, have you ever heard of the Lavender Scare? And Gemini is like, of course I've heard of the Lavender Scare. I'm an AI bot attached to Google. And I said, okay, well, don't be so rude about it. So today we're going to talk about the Lavender Scare. The Lavender Scare. And I will try not to say scale, because this actually looks like a really shitty topic, and I would hate to sound ridiculous in the middle of it, because the title given to me by Google Gemini is Persecution of LGBTQ Individuals in Post-War America. So buckle up. This might be rough. I don't know yet. Because, I'm reading this in real time, but this doesn't sound like a fun topic, so there might be a lot of explicitives that's happening here, so, little ears might want to earmuff. The Lavender Scare, a lesser-known chapter in American history, refers to the systematic persecution of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, or LGBTQ, individuals during the mid-20th century. This era, roughly spanning the 1950s and 1960s, was marked by widespread homophobia and discrimination, fueled by the prevailing climate of Cold War paranoia. 1950s and 60s, isn't that what's happening now? The Lavender Scare was inextricably linked to the Red Scare, a period of intense anti-communism hysteria. So I remember this. I actually remember Red Scare, but I think I only remember it because I heard at some point that Lucille Ball was indicated as being a communist. And I was thinking, Lucy? Everybody loves Lucy. What? The government, under the leadership of figures like Senator Joseph McCarthy, I know him, became obsessed with rooting out suspected communists and their sympathizers. Hey, look at me, I know things. In this climate of fear and suspicion, LGBTQ individuals were often targeted as security risks, their sexuality equated with moral depravity and potential vulnerability to blackmail. Moral depravity. That's still... Okay, this is 1950s and 1960s, and I'm immediately reading this with moral depravity and thinking about the whole pray the gay away and how they're calling out drag queens, which I know are not necessarily linked to that, and I apologize if anybody's insulted that I just linked it. It just makes me think of people that are on the outer skirts of mainstream, aka heterosexual white people, and people's reaction to them, thinking, I don't know, that being near them, you're gonna catch the cold of sin and go to hell? I'm not sure. So this is interesting, seeing what's going on today is not necessarily new. And again, I'm very certain that people of the LGBTQ community, LGBTQ plus, my apologies, are very aware of it. So I apologize that I was not. One of the primary reasons for the persecution of LGBTQ plus individuals was the belief that they were susceptible to blackmail. It was assumed that their sexual orientation could be exploited by foreign powers who could coerce them into revealing state secrets. This fear was amplified by the Cold War, and the United States and the Soviet Union engaged in a tense ideological battle. The government's obsession with national security led to a witch hunt, with LGBTQ+ employees in government, military, and other sensitive positions becoming prime targets. Oh fuck. The Lavender Scare had a devastating impact on the lives of countless individuals. LGBTQ+ people were forced to live in fear of exposure, their careers and reputations at stake. Many lost their jobs, were blacklisted, and faced social ostracism. Some were even subjected to psychological torture and electroshock therapy in an attempt to, quote, cure their homosexuality. What? There's nothing wrong with homosexual people. Electroshock therapy? I don't know why I'm surprised. That's kind of how they used to treat people that had any, quote, mental illnesses. So this is sad. This is really sad. The Lavender Scare contributed to a culture of silence and secrecy as LGBTQ+ individuals were forced to conceal their identities to avoid discrimination and persecution. Oh! Shout out to Don't Ask, Don't Tell. The Lavender Scare also had a profound impact on LGBTQ+ rights activism. While the civil rights movement gained momentum in the 1960s, challenging racial segregation and discrimination, LGBTQ+ individuals were largely absent from the public discourse. The fear of exposure and the pervasive homophobia made it difficult for LGBTQ+ people to organize and advocate for their rights. However, the experiences of the Lavender Scare laid the groundwork for the emergence of a more visible and vocal LGBTQ+ rights movement in decades to come. The Lavender Scare was a dark chapter in American history, a time when the government and society at large failed to protect the rights and dignity of LGBTQ+ individuals. The legacy of this era continues to shape the lives of LGBTQ+ people today, as they strive for full equality and acceptance. While significant progress has been made in recent decades, the Lavender Scare serves as a reminder of the challenges that our LGBTQ communities have faced in the ongoing struggle for justice and equality. And there's a little note at the bottom. This paper provides a foundational overview of the Lavender Scare. To deepen your understanding, consider exploring the following topics: specific case studies of individuals affected by the Lavender Scare, the role of media and popular culture in perpetuating homophobia, and the connections between the Lavender Scare and other forms of discrimination. So when you think about this, obviously it is very prominent in today's society. It hurts my heart to think this was the 1950s and the 1960s. My parents were born in the 1950s. And when you think about the fact that those people are, late 60s, early 70s, it doesn't feel that long ago. This is extremely recently. And I think that, the reason that we still have issues today is, like I said, people who grew up in this time are still around. They're still cognizant. They probably still hold these biases. And of course, it's extremely easy to pass these biases on to your children. If they've never met an LGBTQ+ person and they are 5 years old telling you they are bad people, chances are it's not their opinion. It's their parents' opinion. It's their aunts, their uncles, their grandparents, something like that. Because if they've never met an LGBTQ person, how would they know? They only know based off of what people around them tell them. So I'm going to add in potential sources that also popped up at the bottom. And there's this fun little prompt actually. It says, would you like to focus on specific aspect of the Lavender Scare, such as its impact on military, government employee, or popular culture? And I feel like that's going to be a whole nother delve into things that you can look into. I won't, because I think that would make this very long, and I don't know if you want to listen to my voice for that long. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, maybe follow me, maybe subscribe, maybe click like, and if you didn't like it, be nice. Let's all be kind to each other. And if you don't feel like being nice, okay, just hit me with it. It's whatever. I'll get over it. But thank you for listening. I'm Britt, and this has been What's the Story, Gemini?